I'm the National Director of Cooperative Programs at the College of Law, and together with my panel of new lawyers, we're going to talk you through making the transition from law student to law professional. Before we get started with tonight's session, I would like to acknowledge that we're coming to you from Wajak Noongar land, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So to introduce to you tonight my panel, first we've got Jessica Large. Jessica graduated from Murdoch University in February 2020 and was admitted to the Supreme Court of Western Australia in December 2020. Jessica currently works in the Finance and Securities Division of Valenti Lawyers, where she manages new and existing mortgage matters from start to end. This includes the review of trusts, existing securities, liaising with lawyers, banks and settlement agents, preparation of new securities and attendance of settlements on PEXA. Next we have Mary Kate Ledger, and look at them, they've done so well sitting in the right order. Mary Kate joined Palmos Legal, a boutique firm specialising in litigation and dispute resolution in 2021. Mary Kate has a background in front-end commercial law and practices regularly in litigation and dispute resolution matters, having appeared as counsel or instructing solicitor in most WA jurisdictions in WA, including the Supreme Court and Federal Court, and recently had her first decision as counsel, Jacamara and Office of the State Coroner, published. Last but not least, we have Shalini Fegarajan. Shalini joined the team at WN Legal in 2019 after attaining her Bachelor of Laws. Since starting with WN Legal as an intern, Shalini has assisted with and managed files across the firm. She continued with the firm into her graduate placement and is now employed as a solicitor at WN Legal. Shalini is multilingual and she has experience in catering to clients from all walks of life. Shalini is a strong advocate for social justice. She made it a priority to volunteer and contribute her time to various community legal services. All right, so why do we need to do PLT? Essentially, the reason is you need to do PLT in order to be admitted as a lawyer in any Australian jurisdiction. So in order to be eligible for admission, you need to have a law degree, you need to have completed practical legal training or an articled clerkship, and you need to be determined to be a fit and proper person. I'm going to throw to the panel at this point. Shalini, I'll start with you. What do you think the difference between PLT and uni was?
Well, I'd first say that PLT is not an extension of law school. It's completely different in the sense that in uni, you're given the platform to acquire the necessary skills. For example, you are expected to engage in assignments, go to group discussions, and go for moot competitions, for example. But in PLT, the game plan then changes because you're then required to put the skills to practice. So you'll be meeting new people. It's more about networking, making yourself sort of advance in your skills and put it to practice from day to day. So I would say that it's different in a way because it's a platform for you to put your skills to use. And it's a very valuable platform if you ask me. Yeah.
Very well said. Jessica or Mary Kate, would either of you like to add anything else to what Shalini said?
Probably just say that it is way more practical in the sense that when you're at uni and they say, oh, it's a Form 2 affidavit, you don't really know what they mean, but kind of gives you the skills of understanding what it is in the context of. It's not just an affidavit which tells a story, it's actually super important and all these forms mean something, whereas in uni you kind of just like, it's just an assignment. Yeah, so it gives you those building blocks.
Absolutely. Yeah, uni's sort of the academic side of things, the legal history, the jurisprudence, the law. PLT goes, okay, well, we know you know all of that, but how do you actually be a lawyer? How do you communicate clearly with a client? How do you appear in court? How do you write court documents in a way that's not going to get you laughed out of court? So they are very much complementary, but entirely different. Sorry, Jessica, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No,
I just jumped in.
No, I think that was a perfect explanation. I think the practical part of practical legal training is the absolute key.
Excellent. Excellent. We're not lying to you when we call it practical legal training. So, how does PLT work? Essentially, there's 3 components to PLT. The first is coursework. The second is a prescribed period of work experience. And the final component of the College of Law's PLT course is continuing professional education. Turning to the coursework component of the course, it's made up of 7 units. There are 5 compulsory units. First up, we have our Lawyers Skills unit, which is 5 days of live, immersive, interactive workshops. They cover off skills like interviewing clients, how do you make an ethical decision in practice, how do you appear in court, negotiation and dispute resolution. Really importantly, we have a workshop on wellbeing in practice so that you can look after yourself and watch out for your colleagues. And we also have writing and drafting and risk management. From our Lawyers Skills workshop, you go into ethics and professional responsibility, civil litigation, property practice, commercial and corporate practice, and then finally you get to choose 2 of the 8 electives that you can see on the slide. The College of Law offers 2 different study modes. The first is full-time, and that is 15 weeks from start to finish. That's a pretty fast-paced course, and it's structured to be as intensive as a full-time job. So it takes you about 30 hours a week to keep up with a full-time PLT course load. So we don't recommend that you complete PLT full-time at the same time as working full-time. If you are working full-time or you just prefer to have a bit more of a relaxed pace, we also offer the 30-week part-time course, and that requires about 12 to 15 hours per week. That is, at the moment, probably the most preferred option, but it's entirely up to you. One of the things that you'll notice tonight about the College of Law offering is that there are a lot of options and there's a lot of flexibility, so you can create the course that works for you and matches your life and what you can fit in. Because we are trying to make our course as flexible as possible and as easy to fit in with all of your other commitments, be they work, family, social, we only have 5 days of compulsory live attendance in our course. The rest of our course you complete in your own time at your own pace. So if you work best at 2 a.m, that's when you can do the majority of your work. From November 2021, you'll actually have the choice as to whether you want to attend those 5 days of live workshops face-to-face or virtually. We introduced the virtual offering in response to COVID, and it's been quite popular, so we're going to continue offering that for as long as we can. The face-to-face offering will generally be held at the college's custom-built premises in the CBD, but we do also offer some courses at Edith Cowan, UWA and Murdoch universities, so you can choose whichever location works best for you. When can you start PLT? Generally, most people move on to PLT once they've finished their law degree, but you can actually start before you've finished your law degree. If you've finished all of your core units, your Priestley 11, and you've only got 1 or 2 electives remaining, you can commence your PLT so long as you have the permission of the Legal Practice Board. So that involves completing a form, an application to the Legal Practice Board, and seeking their approval. If you have that, then you can start while you're still finishing your law degree. The second, because PLT is all about getting you to make that transition from law student to lawyer, we have tried to structure the tasks in our program as much like real life practice as we possibly can. So that means that the tasks will be very similar to the sorts of tasks that you'll be completing in practice, and the way that you work through them will be very similar to the way that you work through tasks in practice. The first step will be that you will be given a client file and some sort of communication from your supervisor delegating a particular piece of work to you. In our online learning management system, you'll be given a whole list of dedicated resources relevant to that particular task. It's up to you to pick and choose how many or which of those you look at to help you complete the task. You then complete the task and you upload it into the learning management system. And then your dedicated course lecturer steps in and acts much like a good supervisor would act in practice, in that they provide you with really specific feedback on the work that you have completed. So that could be feedback that says, I really like the way that you've done this here, or in practice, I do this a little bit differently, maybe next time focus on that. If you've completely missed the mark and the work that you have produced isn't to the standard expected of an entry-level lawyer yet, don't panic, that's okay. PLT is your safe place to make mistakes. We want you to get in there, we want you to get your hands dirty and have a go. That way, once you get into practice, you can be sure that you've got all of the silly mistakes out of your system, you know what is expected of you, and you can be really proud and confident of the work that you're producing for a real client and a real boss. I'm going to start with you, Jess, because I went to you last time. What did you think the most valuable part of PLT was in your experience?
I think the structure of the assessments was definitely the most valuable part because, like you said, it was like a client file. We require a letter of advice, or we require you to draft a particular document, and it wasn't as wrapped up in a nice little bow like a uni assignment where it gave you exactly what you were looking for in the perfect example for that particular type of law or that class. It was really useful to actually receive instructions that were a little bit messy or missing holes or missing information where you would go, well, actually in these circumstances, I would ask clarification from the client because that was something that you would never have even thought of in university. And it was really valuable to be able to put those kinds of skills into practice, into those things. And then the feedback I found was incredible to be able to really sit down and go through what you did well, what you missed, and how you missed it.
Shalini, I see your head nodding.
No, I was just going to add on to that. In terms of the valuable part, in terms of the work experience component, I think that was pretty valuable to me. And that's only because often as a law student, you're always drained. It is challenging, but sometimes you also fail to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So when it comes to work experience, you kind of get, hands-on and see what work life is. It gives you a sense of motivation. It gives you a purpose as to, okay, so this is why I studied. It feels good to see your employees, your peers and colleagues putting the experience into hand. You meet new people. Finally, you kind of get the sense of motivation again to, thrive in this legal industry. So I think that is the valuable part for me. Yeah.
Okay, did you have anything else to add? Excellent. Well, Shalini, I couldn't have even paid for a segue as good as that, because that brings us to the second part of our PLT course, work experience. So the College of Law always offers the following two work experience options. The first is our 75-day standard work experience option, and the second is our clinical experience module. That involves completing an extra 5-week module of study, and that reduces your work experience days down to 25 days only. What counts as work experience? On the slide, you'll see quite a few positions that have been deemed by our work experience committee to satisfy the work experience rules, but essentially a work experience placement that will satisfy the rules of our work experience committee will be a placement that is in a real life legal environment in which you are working on real life client files, underneath the direct supervision of a lawyer with a current practicing certificate that is unrestricted. So a lawyer who has been practicing for at least 2 years. Generally, if you can satisfy those requirements, your work experience will count. Now, traditionally, that work experience has had to take place in the same physical location as your supervisor, but things have changed in COVID times, and so now the Legal Practice Board has approved remote supervision, whether that be you working from home or your supervisor working from home. That will count towards work experience. One thing that is particularly worth noting at this stage while you're all still studying is that the work experience that you undertake whilst at uni may actually count towards those 75 days of work experience that you need to complete as part of your PLT. So up to 60 days of work experience that you complete in the 2 years prior to commencing PLT can count towards those 75 days. So you can start PLT with almost all of your work experience already done. And if you have commenced a work experience placement and you're interested to know if that will satisfy the rules, please reach out to the email address that will be on the final slide. We'll provide you with a form that you can send in, and our work experience committee will have a look at your work experience placement and let you know now whether or not that will satisfy the rules. In response to COVID, the college is also offering an InPractice component, and that is actually an 8-week module of study that involves ongoing one-on-one meetings with a dedicated legal practitioner mentor, as well as really practical reflection-based tasks. And you complete that 8-week module of study, and that removes your work experience requirements entirely. So you need to complete 0 days of work experience. Because that's only been approved as a temporary measure in response to COVID, however, we're only offering that at this stage until the end of the financial year, so up until June 2022. The third and final component of our PLT course is our continuing professional education. Now, once you become a lawyer and get a practicing certificate like these guys, every year, in order to qualify for the following year's practicing certificate, every lawyer needs to earn 10 continuing professional education points. And you earn those by attending seminars or webinars or writing a paper or delivering a seminar. To get you into that mindset of starting to think and act like a lawyer, we've incorporated that into our PLT course as well. And in 2021, we launched a new continuing professional education offering called our Certificate of Legal Tech and Business Skills. This offering is comprised of 10 one-hour online sessions that you complete, and they're focused on 10 different areas of legal technology and business acumen that the legal profession have told us are currently really important and will continue to get even more important as our profession continues to evolve. So that's an extra little bonus for you. And once you complete those 10 units, in addition to your graduate diploma of legal practice, you'll actually be awarded a formal certificate of legal tech and business skills. So that's an extra qualification that you can add to your resume. How much does it cost? Well, the domestic fee for PLT in 2022 has been set at $9,640. For international students, it's $13,910. And if you choose to complete the clinical experience module, that's an additional $1,530. And for those domestic students, if you are eligible for fee help, you can put your PLT fees onto your fee help. Like I've said before, the college is really flexible and we're all about tailoring a course for you. So that means that whenever you are ready to start PLT, there will always be a PLT course ready for you to start. We generally have at least one course, so a full-time course and a part-time course starting every calendar month. They'll be alternating whether they are face-to-face or virtual. So it's really up to you to decide when you're ready and when you'd like to start. The college was created back in the 70s with the ethos of democratising entry to the profession. And for that reason, the college doesn't make you apply for a place in a course. If you can satisfy the entry requirements, so basically you've finished your law degree or you've finished your pre-C 11 and only have 1 or 2 electives left to go, you'll be guaranteed a place in whichever PLT course you want to enrol in. If we have a huge amount of demand for a particular course, that's not an issue. We will put on an additional stream. So you can always be guaranteed that whatever works for you and whatever fits best with your life will be what you get a place in. Here's our upcoming dates for the next few months. You can click through the next 2 because it's, and 1 more, thank you. All right, so now this is where our panel gets to shine, and I'm going to ask them all of their advice about making that transition from law student into lawyer. Mary Kate, what do you wish you knew before you started PLT?
I probably wish I had known how it is actually a lot of work.
Yes.
Which they told me, but I was like, nah, it'll be fine. It's actually a lot of assignments. In some cases, you're doing like 3 assignments a day kind of thing, which like they're practical and they can be done. But if you are actually working full time, just like take your time. Because I ended up taking longer than 15 weeks. I don't have time.
Yes.
So probably not necessarily knowing, because I did know, but probably heading more.
Absolutely. Jess, what's your piece of advice you wish you knew?
I think I wish I knew to reach out more. I towards the kind of end found that my lecturers were really responsive, willing to respond and willing to give me more than just yes, okay, proceed kind of answers. And I think if I had known that in the beginning, I really would have used them as a bigger resource than what I did.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's a really big priority for us, providing the support for our students that they need. And that's going to be personalised support. So whether that's like Mary Kate and you need to extend out the time of your PLT course because it's just moving faster than you can keep up with, that's okay. Whether it's you've got really detailed questions, that's okay. That's what your lecturer is there for. They're a really experienced practitioner and they work at the college because they care. We've got an amazing team at the college in WA who are just really genuine, caring, delightful people. So don't ever feel like you're asking a silly question. We love it. Shalini, do you wish you knew anything before you started PLT?
I think I wish I knew that time is of essence. And I say this because it's only during PLT that you get a chance to expand and acquire whatever skills you need. After you're done with PLT, you know, it's just then you go on to practice and you really don't have the time to actually sit down and think or reflect on whether you're doing well or not. So PLT is really valuable. It's a great opportunity to, you know, make a lot of mistakes and I wish I valued every single day I had when I was a PLT student because that's what would have made me what I am.
Yes. And it's quite a challenge, isn't it? Because in hindsight, it seems much more valuable than it does at the time. At the time, you're just thinking, this is one more thing I need to do. But then you hit the ground running and you realise just how much you've actually got out of the whole experience. I'm going to open this up to the floor. What's the best advice you ever received about making the transition from law student to lawyer?
My big thing is that don't judge the law on your first job because every workplace is different and just like you might go into a job and think this isn't for me. I probably thought I was going to become a statistic and leave, and then I started a new job and it's completely for me, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that was like good advice that I got was that you should give it a chance, move around. If after 3 places, maybe it's not for you, but often people go 1, 2, 3 places. Love it.
Yes, that's brilliant advice. And I was saying a similar thing to Frank before, that it doesn't matter what everyone tells you you should want to do. You've got to kind of tap into what's right for you, and finding that right culture and the place where you fit in is more valuable than anything else. Would either the other two of you like to share your advice?
I think I have to give you a bit of context because it sounds a little bit harsh, but I was in the middle of preparing quite a complex piece of advice with a lot of moving parts, and I dug myself deep into a legal hole, and I went into my senior associate who was assisting with my supervision, and I just said, I'm done. I can't figure this out. And he just said to me, you know nothing, and that's okay. And that was a really big moment for me to realise I don't have to know all the answers. I don't have to know how to find all the answers. And putting your hand up to say, I need help at this point is really important. And it doesn't mean that you're less of a lawyer or less smart than you think you are. It's actually a quicker way to get yourself out of the hole you've dug.
Absolutely, because you're guaranteed that another lawyer has been there before. And there's no point reinventing the wheel. We've all felt like imposters. Like one day our boss is going to wake up and realise we're not actually as smart as they think we are. But that's okay. No one expects you to know all of the answers. You expect more of yourself than anybody else expects of you.
And you can't know what you don't know.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. And even the scariest partner has been a law graduate before.
Get those like tiny parts of the law where you go, well, is this a rule? Should I have known this? And people go, well, how did you not know that? And I'm like, well, there was a time when you didn't know that.
Yes.
So just give me a break.
Absolutely.
And for me, I think it's about embracing the good days and the bad days, because honestly, it's really both that makes you a better person. You know, I've had good days where you feel really happy, because in the practice of criminal law, there's a lot of responsibility you have to take, because in in any practice at all, a lot of things are impacted. However you behave or what you bring to the table matters, because it's a direct impact on people's lives. And you get good days because these people become really happy, and then you have this sense of satisfaction. But on bad days, you know, things like not being able to manage clients' expectations or even hit your billable targets, for example, you know, these kind of also kind of drains your energy off. But I would say that would be the stepping stone for you to, you know, enjoy better good days. So embrace both of it when you're transiting, because you're gonna be facing a lot of both, and it's gonna be an up and down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're doing PLT, there's a lot of demands on your time. Most people are studying, they're working. You want to have some semblance of a social life and not burn out. Some people might have family and other commitments. How did you balance all of that and not go crazy and give up?
I think for me, the first thing that I had to find was a circuit breaker. When I walked out of the office at work, I needed to find something that switched my brain from either work mode into PLT or into just being at home with my partner and my dog kind of thing. For me personally, taking my dog for a walk was a perfect time for me and my brain to go, yep, I've got this to-do list in the office tomorrow. That's done, close that door, and I'm going to stop thinking about work now. And you really need to find the breaker that kind of stops you going and taking stuff from work to home and home to work, and it gets a little bit all over the place. I think if you can prioritize yourself, and even if it's things as turning off your notifications to your work emails when you get home, it's a hard thing to say to do, but it really does make a big difference. For me, on the weekends, Friday night, work emails go on mute, and then they don't go back on sometimes Sunday night to check what my Monday is going to look like, but to make sure that you protect yourself in that kind of.
Absolutely.
Actually, I agree with that, because I actually have problems switching from work to, you know, going back on a Friday evening. One would expect that you're going to wind down and relax.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's so hard to get out of like the work mode, because you're then thinking, oh my God, what do I have to do on Monday? Who do I have to respond to? I've got a court appearance coming up. Have I prepared for that? It's hard to switch, and it actually takes time for you to master the art of switching from work to home, you know, to enjoy life actually. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I always like to think that, like, okay, if I got hit by a car tomorrow, then they would have to go on without me. So if I don't reply for like 2 hours, they're going to have to go on without me. Like, the world generally won't stop if you can't do something straight away.
Life goes on.
One of the partners at work's favourite saying is the sun will come up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one thing for sure.
Yes.
And the sun's coming up tomorrow.
Absolutely. That's a really good way of looking at it and sort of putting things into perspective. There are very few things that are actually as urgent as we often think they are. Next slide, please. Now, there are a number of different PLT providers. Why choose the College of Law? The first reason is the College of Law is the preferred provider of 9 of the 10 top law firms across the country. So if you want to go into a career in large commercial law and you're fortunate enough to be offered a graduate position at one of the large commercial law firms, chances are that you'll be coming to the College of Law to complete your PLT through one of the firm's in-house PLT programs. We're also the largest PLT provider in Australia with permanent campuses and permanent staff located in Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. Throughout your course, you'll have dedicated support that will be from a local legal practitioner who will be your lawyer, your PLT supervisor. You'll also be supported by the entire team here in WA. So whether that be our wonderful admin staff who are always there to answer all of your questions, or whether that be from our super supportive and all-round amazing Executive Director, Catherine Stokes. There's so much support for you if you come to the college. We're really flexible. So as we've touched on tonight, it's all about choosing the option that's right for you. So whether that be a full-time or part-time study mode, face-to-face or virtual teaching, 75 days, 25 days or 0 days of work experience, whether you need to extend the length of your PLT course out a little bit longer, where you want to study. Those are all different things that the College of Law can cater for. And in 2022, we have more than 20 different course options for you to choose from, so you can choose the course that fits best with your life. You'll also be able to access career coaching from our really experienced and highly qualified career professionals. So if you have any questions at all about PLT with the College of Law, or you'd like to know if the work experience that you're currently undertaking, have undertaken or are about to undertake will count towards your PLT, please don't hesitate to reach out to our wonderful team. You've got that email address there that gets you straight through to our Perth office, and this phone number is the direct line to our Perth office. It's been lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much, Jess, Mary Kate and Shalini. You have been absolute treasures and your advice has been right on point. Thanks, everyone.